on the free press. So, yep. So I'll be doing that announcing, and then Todd down there is the PA announcer. Yep. Oh no, it's okay. Oh good. I heard someone say something about. I'm not sure. It might be one in the back or down there. It's got to be. Hey Todd, how are you pronouncing DeCressy? Marco DeCressy on Adams? DeGretti? Oh good. DeGretti. Actually nine. On Adams? DeCreasy. Oh good. Thank you. Oh good. DeCreasy. Oh good. set. Welcome into your Detroit Free Press game of the week. Rochester High School is the location on a brisk 36-degree night. Feels like playoff time, which hasn't been said around these parts very often in the past. There's added fuel, added emotion between these two rivals, Rochester Adams and Rochester. 22 consecutive wins for Rochester Adams over their rival Rochester entering tonight. But it's a rarity. Rochester is the favorite heading into tonight at 6-0, coming off one of their best seasons in program history. A total reversal from last year's 1-8 campaign under head coach Eric Vernon. The Falcons will kick off to the Highlanders to get things underway on a 36-degree Friday night. Should be a fun one. Glad to have you with us. First round of the Michigan High School football playoffs are underway.
Ball received at the 25.
Be taken at the 25 and up to about the 38. Decent field position for Rochester Adams to get things underway from the offensive standpoint tonight. Marco DeCressy, the junior QB, 5'9", 155, will step out onto the field, and he'll take over at his own 38. 11:55 to go in this opening quarter. The first offensive possession of the game. So Rochester Adams team that went 2-4 in the regular season. They shortened the regular season due to the COVID pandemic, but Tony Petrito and his group have made the most out of it. It's a down year in comparison to last year's 7-3 season, as Pico earns 2 on first down. A team that historically has been very successful. The 2 wins were their lowest win total since 2015, when they went 4-5. Lost in the first round of last year's playoffs, trying to pull off an upset on the road tonight. It was a 24-0 loss to Eisenhower a season ago in districts. On 2nd and 8 from their own 40, they go to the ground and pick up a decent chunk to set up 3rd and short. Called a gain of 5, so it sets up 3rd and 3 with 10:54 to go in the first quarter. They go back to the ground, and they might have come up just short. The gain of 2, they gave it back to Pico, and it will be 4th and about 1. Might get an early gamble here from Rochester Adams as they keep the offense on the field on 4th and 1 from their own 47-yard line. Defensive line for Rochester has been so good all season long. It's the quarterback keeper as Pico lowers his shoulder, and he will pick up enough to get a new set of downs here for the Rochester Adams offense. Parker Pico, kind of a guy who we'll see as an interchangeable piece with Marco DeCressy. They utilize both of them in a run-heavy offense this year. They're young at that QB position. Parker Pico is a sophomore, DeCressy a junior. Pico is such a versatile threat. Once again, he'll hand the ball off this time, and a gain of 1, if anything, from forward progress or stopped at the line of scrimmage. 9:29 to go in the opening quarter. No score between Rochester Adams and Rochester in this first round rivalry playoff matchup on a Friday night. They will call it a gain of 1 on forward progress, so the ball is spotted at the 48, just inside of Rochester territory. 2nd and 9. Pico takes the snap and hands it off on the sweep. Gain of about 4. Did the ball come out? The Rochester sideline was indicating as if they had it, but if it did come out, Adams pounced on it pretty quickly. So with 8:44 to go in the opening quarter, that was a gain of just 2, so it sets up 3rd and long for an offense that doesn't pass the ball very often. 3rd and 7 to be exact. Everyone bunched in tight once again. We'll see what they do out of this. It's a keeper for Pico. He has the first down and a bit more. Helicopter down at about the 34. We'll call it a gain of 11 as he gets to the 35 of Rochester. And all of a sudden, the Adams offense with what feels like a pretty big 3rd and 7 conversion early on in this first quarter. Early on, you wonder what the mindset of Rochester is like right now. We mentioned they've lost 22 games in a row to Rochester Adams. Adams comes in at 2-4, Rochester at 6-0. But does that streak creep into your mind early? How high is the energy level? How high are those adrenaline glands pumping right now if you're wearing a blue jersey? That's another gain of 6, this time on first down to bring it to 2nd and 4 for the Rochester Adams offense. It's a gain of 6, 7:45 to go in the quarter number 1. No score. Good first down chunks like that are exactly what the Rochester Adams offense wants. Pico again navigating his way through traffic for another first down. They'll mark him at the 20-yard line. So a gain of 9 on 2nd and 4. A couple of big chunks. Gain of 6 and then a gain of 9 for the Rochester Adams offense. No score, 7:10 to play in the opening quarter here at Rochester High School. The Adams offense just outside of the red zone. Now they're inside of the red zone. Got a gain of 7. That's another significant chunk on 1st and 10. Marco DeCreasy kept it that time. It's a gain of 8 to bring up 2nd and 2. This is an Adams team that capped off the regular season with a 20-6 win over Farmington a week ago. And the offense has picked up where they left off. Look to the sideline for an adjustment. Now call a timeout. Well, methodical drives, eating up time. It's that kind of an offense, as you can see early on. Not a lot of throwing the ball. The offensive line looks good early. It's an experienced offensive line for Rochester Adams. We'll take this quick moment to remind you that tonight's Detroit Free Press Game of the Week is presented by Detroit Public Schools Community District. Every school day counts for our children's academic, social, and emotional development. Detroit Public Schools Community District is preparing students for their rise and is safely providing face-to-face learning and online learning at home or in a learning center. Enroll today, visit DetroitK12.org or call 313-240-4377. Remember, when students rise, we all rise. That was a 2nd and 2 gain of 1 to bring it to now 3rd and 1 for the Rochester Adams offense. At the 11-yard line of Rochester. 6:10 to go in the opening quarter. No score. DeCreasy keeps it, lowers his shoulder and picks up another first down just inside of the 5 at the 4-yard line. Well, the Highlanders are perfect on 3rd down early. They don't look phased on the road here. This is a group that's used to playing playoff football. It's the 5th consecutive playoff appearance for Rochester Adams. And Tony Petrito's team has looked like a group that's used to this high-pressure stage early on. DeCreasy will hand it off, and they came up just short, about 3 yards out. of the end zone. Griffin Henke, the ball carrier on that occasion. We'll see a kind of a two-back rotation between Griffin Henke, the junior, and then the senior Nick Traficante, who's more the power back for Adams. No score, 5:10 to go in the first quarter, but the Highlanders are knocking on the door early. This has been a long opening drive. Eating up nearly 7 minutes now. Pico tries to get to the outside, and that's a big tackle made in the backfield. Credit Anthony Pirelli for the loss of 7. One of the leaders on the defense comes up big in an important spot early in this ball game. 4.5 to play in the opening quarter. And now that sets up 3rd and goal from the 9. After the loss of 7. First time we've seen multiple receivers on the field for the Highlanders. Pico looking for the corner, and it might have been picked off. Knocked out of bounds, they'll say. It was picked off. So a turnover inside of the red zone for this Rochester Adams offense after it looked like they were 2 yards out from scoring. A loss of 7 and then an interception in the back corner of the end zone. And a quick turn of momentum in favor of Rochester as a result. That brings up first down from the 20 for Alex Bueno and this Rochester offense. Their first offensive possession with 4 minutes to play in the first quarter. And Bueno under pressure on his first snap of the game. In the backfield there was Alex DeBreek, the junior defensive lineman. And that's a quick loss of 7 on first down to back it up to 2nd and 17. From the Rochester 13 with 3:39 to go in the opening quarter. No score. If you're just joining us, Rochester Adams was 2 yards out from scoring. Then they were taken back for a loss of 7 and threw an interception in the end zone. So now the Falcon offense out on the field for the first time. Out of the shotgun with multiple receivers, they go to the ground. Won't pick up much, but they get a little chunk of it back. 3:08 to go in the opening quarter now. It's a gain of 4, so bump it up to 3rd and 13. 4 receivers in the set for the sophomore QB and first-year starter Alex Bueno. But now a flag flies. It'll be a false start, so back them up 5 more. Might be a quick opening drive here for the Falcons. However, you got to be satisfied with stopping Adams after they got down to the 2. Now at least you want to give your punter some breathing room if you do have to kick it away here. No score with 2:37 to go in the opening quarter. This is 3rd and 18 for the Falcon offense. Bueno looking down to the near sideline, and it's knocked away, looking in a one-on-one there. Had intentions for Grant Calgano, but a nice job defensively from Joey Shallow, the junior DB. So 4th and 18, we'll call for the punting unit early. .224 to go in the opening quarter. Clock stops after Rochester Adams ate up quite a bit of it with their running game. That punt, I don't know if it was partially deflected or if the pressure resulted in a very short boot. Nonetheless, it'll give Rochester Adams their second offensive possession at the 35 in plus territory. So an ideal spot for that ground-heavy attack to step right back out onto the field and hope to atone for that interception they threw on the opening drive. It was an opening drive that ate up a little over 7 minutes. We now have 2:18 to go in quarter number one, no score, and 1st and 10. Parker Pico back in at QB. He'll hand it off to Marco DeCressy. About a gain of 3 on 1st down. Brings up 2nd and 7 with 2 minutes to play now in quarter number one. No score yet. First round of the Michigan High School playoffs getting underway tonight. Brisk 36-degree night. Feels like playoff weather. Rochester Adams went 2-3 in league play in the OAA White this year. 2-4 overall. Back to the ground they go, and now a hole opens up, and this might be the first score of the game. It will be. Griffin Hankey waltzes his way into the end zone. A 32-yard scamper, and Rochester Adams is on the board first. So after they came 2 yards away on their opening drive, it only takes a few plays on drive number 2. And now a 6-0 lead for the Highlanders and trying to make it 7-0 with the extra point. Colin Timko will tack on one more. So 7-0 is the Rochester Adams lead with 1:36 to go in quarter number one. And this is kind of what we touched on early on, right? You wonder what the emotions are of Rochester at the moment when you think of the streak, 22 in a row, dating back to November of 1996. Does that pressure seep in? I spoke to their QB, Alex Bueno, a couple hours before the start of the game on the phone, and he told me this game means so much to us because we want to end that streak and we want to get the first playoff win. And he also said that I asked him, what will your message be to the team if you could give him one tonight? And he said, don't think about the streak. Don't think about records. Just go out and play your game and do what you've done all year. And now they're in a position where they want to hopefully try to do that. Down 7 on their home field with 1:36 to play in quarter number one. Rochester Adams on top, trying to pull off an upset. But in their minds, they don't think it's an upset. They're kicking off right now. This will take a hop, and that'll settle down. It was a Rochester Adams hop. Settle it down at the 19 for Alex Bueno and the Rochester offense to step back out onto the field. Pleasure to have you with us for our Detroit Free Press Game of the Week. I'm Jason Ross Jr. It's a fun one tonight. It's playoff time, right? It's always fun around this time of the year. It's cold, but it's fun. Rochester won every game this season by at least 22 points. Their closest game was a 42-20 win over Bloomfield Hills. So they're not used to being in this position very often, but when you talk to people around the team, they use the word resilience as a way to describe this group. They go to the ground on 1st and 10 and lose yardage. They'll lose one with 1:26 to go in the opening quarter. Call it a loss of 1, so 2nd and 11 coming up here. Ball on the 18, their own 18. Second consecutive drive that they've lost yardage on 1st down. Bueno, quick throw, has his man. This time it's Preston Stroyer. Looking for the sideline, and he's brought down promptly. Joey Shallow, who's already made a couple of big plays for the Rochester Adams defense, came up with the tackle there. Called a gain of 5, so 3rd and 6 as the clock is dwindling now in this first quarter. 7-0 is the Rochester Adams lead, with under 30 seconds to play in quarter number 1. Falcons offense looking for a 3rd and 6 conversion here. They were 3 and out on their opening drive. Once again, a quick throw, incomplete, intended for Grant Calcagano, the sophomore wide receiver. So the clock stops with 16.4 to go. 16.4 seconds, I should say, on the first quarter clock. And once again, the punting unit is out there for the 2nd consecutive drive on the part of Rochester. The last punt was not good. This one is better. It soars past Pico, who is at about the 50-yard line, and takes a roll in favor of the Falcons. With just 3.9 seconds left on the first quarter clock. Rochester Adams up 7-0. They scored on their last drive. They got down to the 2 on their opening drive, then threw an interception. So it's been a productive first quarter for the Highlanders offense. They've done it on the ground as per usual. They go back to the ground here. A little fake handoff, and the ball, able to hold on to it there was Max Seabone. And that'll do it for quarter number 1. 7-0 is the Rochester Adams lead. After 1 quarter of play, there is no gain on that last play. We'll take a quick breather here on your Detroit Free Press Game of the Week. Welcome back to your Detroit Free Press Game of the Week. Second quarter getting underway from Rochester High School. It was a fun first quarter. Rochester Adams played their style and it worked. We'll see if they can do that again here in the second quarter. We're able to shut down the Rochester Falcons offense. Just a couple of quick drives for Nick Bueno and company, Alex Bueno, I should say, and company. Parker Pico will take it on first down here. We've seen a lot of that so far. If you're just tuning in, Rochester went 6-0 on the season. You have to imagine it would feel good to qualify with that 6-win mark. They went 6-0, as I said, but this year everyone makes the playoffs in the shortened season. You'd have to imagine, though, it feels good to get the 6 wins and know you would have qualified even if it weren't this unusual season. On the part of Rochester Adams in this shortened year, 2 wins, 4 losses. Again, their lowest win total since 2015 when they went 4-5. Rochester Adams lost in the first round of last year's playoffs. They were shut out 24-0 against Eisenhower in districts. Historically, a very successful program. And they punted away there on 4th and 2. This will roll down inside the 15 and take a roll in favor of the Highlanders. That's where Alex Bueno will step back out onto the field for Rochester. It's kind of the first quick, brief possession for the Rochester Adams offense, so perhaps you take something away from that and translate it offensively if you're the Falcons. And the other 2 drives for Rochester Adams, one was a 7-minute really methodical piece of work, and the other one just took a few plays to punch it into the end zone after a 32-yard run on the part of Griffin Henke. That was the scoring in the first quarter. Rochester Adams is up 7-0 with 10:40 to go in the second quarter. And this has been the look so far for the Falcons offense. Not much going. Quick run there. The defense for Rochester Adams looks very well prepared. And another reminder that the Rochester Adams offense turned the ball over in the first quarter in the end zone. It was an interception in the back corner of the end zone, so they were 2 yards out and then threw that pick. That was kind of a breather for the Falcons. A lot of these quick passes so far, and the timing has not been there. That now brings up 3rd and 9 with 10:07 to go in the second quarter for the Falcons offense. Rochester ended the season with a 33-7 win over Berkeley. Offense has been flying high all year, but no score yet on the board for the Falcons. They're trailing 7-0 to their rival Rochester Adams on 3rd and 9. This will go out of the reach, nearly picked off. Knocked out of bounds. The receiver, Preston Schroyer, had to turn into a DB there to knock it loose and avoid an interception. It was Nick Patera on the defense for Rochester Adams. And it brings up another punt for the Falcons. Already their 3rd punt in as many drives. This is some more issues in the kicking game. They had a punt in the first quarter that only rolled out to about the 35, their own 35. This one's even worse. It'll settle down at their own 29. Plus territory once again for the Rochester Adams offense. And they love this. Give them some good field position. I think they're going to mark it at the 28. So you're setting up just about 8 yards outside of the red zone here. I think you'll take it if you're Tony Petrito and company. Throw a lot of confusing looks at you up front with these fakes trying to shift the defensive line from one side to another, and you see it there. We'll see if they got him. It is on Rochester. So now you'll bump this drive forward a bit more. That's what they do, though. It's misdirection. Some calls at the line that can throw off the opposing defensive line. Offensive line has looked really good so far for Rochester Adams. And this is what you can't afford early on if you're Rochester. They go to the air. That's a rarity. Down the seam, just out of the reach. It could have been 6. That time they throw you off in terms of actually going to the passing game. It's just, it's odd to defend. Intentions that time for Max Seabone, who streaked in behind the defense. When they look at that film, they'll probably say we should have had 6 there. Nonetheless, 2nd and 5 now. Rochester Adams is up 7-0 with 9:47 to go in quarter number 2. And the Falcons' defensive line was ready on that occasion. Griffin Henke, who has the lone touchdown so far in the ball game. It was a 32-yard scamper in the first quarter. Lost 1 there. Brings up 3rd and 6 from the Falcons' 24. 7-0 lead for Rochester Adams. They've been really good on 3rd down so far. Looking for the edge here is Pico. They dish it out. Did they get enough? DeCressy lunging forward. We'll see where they mark it. It was a smart move to pitch it there, and they will give them enough. Jake Bolden made the tackle on DeCressy, but not prior to DeCressy gaining enough to move the sticks. 8:56 to go in quarter number 2. A fresh set of downs for Rochester Adams. A lovely fake. Oh, Pico showing off the moves there and picks up a good chunk on 1st and 10. We'll say gain 4. 8:34 to go now in quarter number 2. Rochester Adams opened up the first quarter with a really well put together drive. As we mentioned, it lasted a little over 7 minutes. And again, they're in a rhythm here. They run the ball quite a bit, but it comes at you fast, doesn't it? Pico finds a hole, a first down, and spirals down at about the 2. On a gain of 12. They might spot him at the 3. We'll see where they mark it. It is at the 3. So now the second time today that this Rochester Adams team has been in a 1st and goal situation. The first time they were down at the 2. They lost 7 yards, then threw an interception. But they followed that up with a touchdown. That's why they're up 7-0 right now. Can they add some insurance onto their lead? The defensive line for the Falcons is ready for that misdirection. Pico slammed down. It's a loss of 1. Credit Cam Sterling on that last tackle. The fans that are here are trying to get into it and implore their defense towards a stop. 2nd and goal from the 4. For the Rochester Adams offense, the snap is high. It's on the turf, and it looks like the Highlanders pounced on it, but back at their own 12. Or back at the Falcon 12, I should say. They'll mark it at the 13. So once again, some red zone issues for Rochester Adams. These are a couple of really important points to mark down here in the narrative of this game so far. Rochester Adams got down to the 2 in the first quarter, got backed up to the 9, threw the interception. Now they get down to the 2 again and find themselves backed up to the 13. This is 3rd and goal. Pico rolling, he'll keep it, lunging. At about the 1, he came up short. Wow. So Pico kept it, and came up just shy. Anthony Pirelli on the tackle. And that brings up a goal line stand opportunity here. 4th and goal from the 1 for the Rochester Adams offense. They're up 7 with 5:43 to go in quarter number 2. And now, did we get a timeout prior to the snap? We did. The Falcons got the timeout off in time. So 5:39 to play in quarter number 2. It's a 7-0 lead for Rochester Adams. 4th and goal from the 1 coming up next here. There's an interesting scenario here. The Rochester Adams team actually began the year with a 1-point loss to North Farmington, and that was a game they actually lost by way of getting stopped on 4th and 1 from the 1-yard line. It was a 34-33 game. So they've been in this scenario before in big games. Trying to punch it in here. The Highlanders have had some red zone troubles early on. Two of Rochester Adams' 4 losses this season have come by less than a touchdown, so they know the importance of capitalizing when they need to. Here we go. 4th and goal from the 1 for the Rochester Adams offense. There's a push taking place. The Highlanders think they're in, and they are. So 13-0 now is the lead for Rochester Adams with 5:37 to go in quarter number 2 as they muscle their way past the goal line. That was an eventful red zone sequence that ultimately ends up in a touchdown. And now once again, it's Colin Timko trying to tack on one more. It is up and in, so 14-0 is now the Rochester Adams lead on the road. Well, this has been an interesting one so far. The perceived favorite, Rochester, is now down. Rochester Adams was the underdog entering tonight, despite the fact that they've won 22 consecutive games in this rivalry. And now on the flip side, if you're looking at the mental perspective of Rochester, what's going through your mind right now? You went 6-0 on the season, but you haven't beaten Rochester Adams since 1996. None of these players were born when that game took place. For Eric Vernon and company, his players love him so much, and they've responded to him so well this season after going 1-8 a year ago. But it is gut check time now. Rochester Adams up 14-0. And Alex Bueno and the Falcon offense will start at their own 22 with 5:26 to go in quarter number 2. It's a 12-yard return on that kickoff. Well, the offense just hasn't gotten much going so far. A lot of quick throws. Timing hasn't appeared to been there so far. The Rochester Adams defensive line has been stout. They'll stack just 3 up on the line this time. Falcons go with 2 receivers on this 1st and 10 set, opt to go to the ground, and much of the same from the Adams defensive line. Alex DeBreek has been really good so far. Andrew Rolfe's in there. That was Tate Pico, the brother of Parker Pico, making the tackle. 4:56 to go in this first half. 14-0 is the Rochester Adams lead. 2nd and 9. Bueno back to throw. A short crosser. Ball came loose. They're going to say it was incomplete, though. He was looking for one of the top targets, Bobby Croner, who hasn't really been much of a note so far in this game, but he's one of their deep threats. Really get over the middle as well. He's been the go-to target for Bueno throughout this year, but they haven't been able to incorporate him in the offense in his first playoff game, to this point at least. Clock stops at 4:44 left in the second quarter. 14-0 is the Rochester Adams lead. Another 3rd and long for the Falcon offense. Bueno has to step up, gets hit hard behind the line of scrimmage. And the energy is buzzing on the far sideline right now for Rochester Adams. 4th punt of the day for the Falcon offense. Brings out Cam Sherwin to punt. Another high snap. And it's going to settle down just inside of the 50 for Rochester Adams. So they set up in plus territory for the 3rd time today. Not something you want to write down if you're Rochester. The special teams game has been a bit scratchy. 4:03 to go in the second quarter. It's a 14-0 Rochester Adams lead. Parker Pico back out on the field, barking out the signals, and now we might get a quick timeout called on the Adams sideline. We'll take this time to remind you that tonight's Detroit Free Press Game of the Week is presented by Detroit Public Schools Community District. Every school day counts for our children's academic, social, and emotional development. Detroit Public Schools Community District is preparing students for their rise and is safely providing face-to-face learning and online learning at home or in a learning center. Enroll today. Visit DetroitK12.org or call 313-240-4377. Remember, when students rise, we all rise. Welcome back to the Detroit Free Press Game of the Week. The Rochester Adams offense taking over, and Parker Pico brought down a couple of yards behind the line of scrimmage. That's more of what you want to see out of this Falcon defense. It hasn't allowed more than 20 points this season, but they've already allowed 14 in the first half. It's kind of uncharted waters right now for this Rochester team when you examine how well they've played this season. Now 2nd and 12 for Parker Pico. He'll drop back to throw. Looking down the seam and has a man. It's a big chunk inside the 10. And Adams is up 3 scores. Joey Shallow on the receiving end of a 50-yard touchdown pass. It's been a rarity that they've gone to the air tonight, but we talked about how they throw off defenses. You expect them to go to the ground on just about every down, and then they throw a different look at you, and all of a sudden, it's 20-0 in favor of Rochester Adams with 3 minutes to play in the second quarter. Extra point attempt. That one was off the mark, so 20-0 will remain the score with 3:08 to play in quarter number 2. Couple of quick strikes from this Rochester Adams offense. They've had methodical drives, then they hit you with that. You wondered if the pressure would get to Rochester tonight. It's a young group overall. We mentioned their starting QB, Alex Bueno, is making his playoff debut. He's just a sophomore, his first year as the full-time starter. Very mature kid, but when you step on a stage like this, especially on the home field, perhaps adding even more pressure to perform in front of your family, in front of your friends. You wonder how that seeped into the mind tonight. Nerves have been apparent, so we'll see if they can flip the script here. Feels like a big drive coming up with 3:08 to go. Rochester Adams up 20-0. Rochester has not done much on offense so far today. They've been scratchy in special teams, therefore setting up Rochester Adams in really good positions tonight, offensively in plus territory. This is almost a little squibber that settles down at the 47. So if you if you wanted to ask for something on special teams, that's what you wanted if you're Rochester. Set up in pretty good position here at the 47, your own 47 nonetheless. 3:07 to go and plenty of time to work with remaining in this first half. Alex Bueno looking for a rhythm. He hands it off to his back, who he has a lot of trust in. It's Jeff Hawkins, the ball carrier. They go to a few different guys out of the backfield. You might see Hawkins. You might see a guy like Xavier Span or Sam Pizzo as well. And right now getting the signals from the sideline after a gain of 2. This is the furthest up the field they've been so far, at the 50, with 2:34 to go in the opening half. They faked the handoff this time, but Bueno under pressure promptly, trying to weave his way out of pressure. At least he got it away there somehow. Was under duress, though. He has not had a lot of time in that pocket, and that hasn't been the case throughout the season. It's a very experienced offensive line up front with some really good characters. You think about Noah Howes and Nick Terenzi, a couple of seniors that he really loves working with. Two very hard-working guys up front on the offensive line for Rochester. But the Adams defense has won the battle so far on the line of scrimmage. 3rd and 8 now with 2:24 to go in the second quarter. It's a 20-0 Rochester Adams lead. Bueno under pressure again. Has a man. This time it's Preston Schroyer, but he gets gang tackled and pushed back here. They'll mark him at the 50 with forward progress, so he didn't gain anything there. Tate Pico made the tackle, his second tackle of the game. Mentioned he's the brother of Parker Pico, who's taken a lot of the reps at quarterback so far for Rochester Adams tonight. We'll get a quick timeout with 2:14 to go in quarter number 2. 4th and 8 will be the down and yardage to go when we come back for Rochester on their home field. Take this time to remind you that this broadcast is brought to you by the Detroit Free Press, your flagship news and information source for sports in Michigan. The Free Press has launched a new digital subscription model which gives high school sports fans exclusive access to Mick McCabe's weekly columns, rankings, and predictions. Your support will help the Free Press stream high school football games all season long. Subscribe today at freep.com for our latest promotional offer. Well, here we go. 4th down and a punt. It's a high arcing punt into the night sky on a 36-degree brisk night here in Rochester, Michigan. Settles down at the 22. So 2:02 left here in the second quarter. 20-0 is the Rochester Adams lead on the road. First round of the Michigan High School football playoffs. These teams were scheduled originally to meet in the opening weekend of the season as they did last year, but the COVID-shortened season removed a couple of games from the schedule. Although obviously they're still bound to meet up this year, and it's been a fun one so far if you're a Rochester Adams fan. Thanks in part to this man, Parker Pico, who's been excellent in the ground game. Picks up about 9, maybe enough for a first down there. They will give him enough for a first down. So a gain of 11 on 1st and 10 moves the chains. Despite the fact that this is a run-heavy offense, you can see the tempo. They're not afraid to move it quickly. A little bubble screen set up. And after a gain of 1 on 1st and 10, 1:35 to go in the second quarter. 20-0 is the Rochester Adams lead. Once again, quickly back into their sets with Pico barking out the signals. They go to the ground. If they did gain anything, it was just 1. They will call it a gain of 1 with 1:05 to go and ticking on the second quarter clock. So nearing halftime here at Rochester High School. It's a Rochester team in search of their first playoff win, but down 20-0. We get flags flying here. There were some movements up front. It's a penalty against Adams, so that sets them back 5 yards. And getting back on that note, we mentioned this is a Rochester team in uncharted territory right now. They haven't given up more than 20 points all season. They've now hit that mark, allowing 20 in this first half. Pico in trouble, somehow squeaked out. Now he's loose. dodges one man and heads his way up the sideline. Parker Pico on the loose inside the 20. He'll step into the end zone. A 68-yard scamper. Looked like he was dead in the water and somehow pulled another magic trick out of his hat. And now Adams is up 26-0 with 17 seconds to go in the opening half. This is the most points Rochester has allowed all season in the first half. How about Pico? So shifty, so elusive. Such an athlete. He's been fun to watch tonight. Now, after missing the extra point on their last possession that they scored on, they'll try to go for two. Pico twirling his way out of trouble, just lofts it to the end zone and it's picked off. So 26-0 remains the score in favor of Rochester Adams with 17.7 seconds to go on the first half clock. I mentioned Rochester Adams was shut out in their playoff game a year ago against Eisenhower, 24-0. Atoning for that loss right now at the moment. They went 2-4 this year, which was a down season relative to their last year when they went 7-3. And it's a fifth consecutive playoff appearance for Rochester Adams. These guys have been here before, and they look like it at the moment. Came in very intense. Added emotion to this game, obviously, as per usual. Taken at the 8, and not much breathing room to work with on that occasion. We'll step up to the 21 with just 12 seconds to go on the first half clock for Rochester. Now it's 26-0 Rochester Adams lead with 12 seconds to play in the second quarter. You wonder what the message will be from Eric Vernon, the head coach of Rochester, to his group that hasn't experienced anything like this all season. Appears as though they're content with going to the half. So that's what they'll do. On the flip side, Rochester Adams couldn't have played a better half. And they know it, and their traveling fans know it. The energy is buzzed for the guys in white right now on the road. We'll step aside on your Detroit Free Press game of the week. 26-0 is the Rochester Adams lead after the opening half of play. Welcome back to our Detroit Free Press Game of the Week. Jason Ross Jr. back alongside you. Just a few minutes until half number 2 gets underway. Rochester Adams up 26-0 after one half of play here at Rochester High School. We'll take this time to remind you that our Diamond Elite sponsor is Detroit Public Schools Community District. Our children need to be in school as every school day counts for their academic, social, and emotional development. Detroit Public Schools Community District is preparing students for their rise and has implemented a safe return with options to meet the needs of our families, including face-to-face learning and online learning at home or in a learning center. The DPSCD team has been working hard to serve families during this difficult time and remains focused on providing outstanding academic, arts, and athletics programs and exceptional student education services. Please join us in thanking DPSCD teachers and staff in preparing for your child's rise to build a stronger Detroit. Enroll your child in Detroit Public Schools Community District by visiting DetroitK12.org or calling 313-240-4377. Remember, when students rise, we all rise. Welcome back to our Detroit Free Press Game of the Week. Well, the Highlanders started out on offense to begin the first half, so they'll kick off to begin the second, up with a commanding 26-0 lead. Rochester on the opposite side trying to flip the script. Off we go in half number 2. It's taken at the 10. A little opening on the edge that's closed down promptly at about the 29-yard line. And that is where Alex Bueno, who will be at the front of this mission to try to turn things around, will take over for his Falcon offense. A dual threat QB with a really good arm. His head coach Eric Vernon has said as just a sophomore, he's so calm and so cool under pressure. But he's been under pressure a bit too much tonight. And that's been one of the deterrents in them getting any sort of momentum to flow on a consistent basis tonight. They've gone 3 and out more often than not. That's a low throw scooped up off the turf by Bobby Kroner, who gets up limping. Not a good sign if you're a Falcon fan. He's been one of the key targets for them this season. And now he is down, and the training staff will come out to attend. Well, Kroner, the senior receiver, has an offer from Valparaiso. We were looking for him to get involved today, and the Adams defense did a good job of keeping him limited, but now you certainly don't want to see him taken out of the game this way. Appears to be holding the knee. We hope that Kroner is okay. We'll step aside momentarily on your Detroit Free Press Game of the Week. Back now to Rochester High School. Kroner needed help to make his way to the bench on the sidelines, limping off and laboring it due to that knee. Still looking at it in pain. So that's a key loss now for the Falcon offense. 2nd and 5, though, from their own 33. They go to the ground, pick up a first down and more. Out to the 50 and just inside of Highlander territory at the 49. That was Andrew Koss on the run. And they use him in the receiving game and in the ground game. A talented kid. He also writes for the school paper, The Talon, which is maybe a reason why he has such an articulate view on the game, and such a smart young kid, plays football and lacrosse. And they get another big hole up the middle and another first down by way of the ground. So the first real momentum for the Rochester offense all night. A flag came out late. .10:51 to go in this third quarter of play. It's a 26-0 Rochester Adams lead. First drive with multiple first downs all night for the Rochester offense. We went into the break saying we wonder what Eric Vernon would say to his group. Clearly he's energized them a bit, and now they'll tack on 15 more yards after the personal foul that was on Rochester Adams. It's been an unblemished night up until this point for Rochester Adams. But perhaps this narrative taking a twist in the favor of the Falcons of Rochester on their home field. First real momentum all night for the offense. 1st and 10. Bueno looking end zone. A flag came out. This might be pass interference. We'll see. It was intended for Grant Calcano, the sophomore wide receiver. This came after Bobby Croner went down with a knee injury, one of the Falcons' top receivers. And it looks like more trouble for the offense was coming. However, the momentum has really flipped. It is a pass interference call. So 1st and goal now from the 9-yard line of Rochester Adams. It's a 26-0 Rochester Adams lead. The Falcons desperately need to score here, and they need a touchdown. That's what they'll get. Andrew Koss marches his way in. A swift opening drive to the second half for the Falcons. And they score in less than 2 minutes. 26-6 now is the score in favor of Rochester Adams. Well, that's just what the doctor ordered for the Falcons. That's what you needed. Quick, assertive, and a commanding offensive drive, especially from that offensive line. Now they'll try to tack on one more. You need every point you can get right now if you're the Falcons. They do indeed add on one more. So 26-7 now is the Rochester Adams lead after the touchdown drive to open up the second half for Rochester. First playoff appearance since 2010 for Rochester. You really get hit in the mouth in the first half, but what an answer back to begin the second half of play. We'll keep an eye on the status of Bobby Croner, the senior wide receiver who went down on the Falcon offense. Just a couple of plays into that drive. Again, if you're just tuning in, Rochester Adams has 22 consecutive wins over Rochester. You have to go back to November 1st of 1996. So not a single player on this field was born when that happened. Falcons ended the regular season with a 33-7 win over Berkeley. And now having some of their first momentum of the night, Rochester Adams on the flip side has had excellent field position all night long. And that's been a key part of their success. The special teams for Rochester were simply not up to par in that first half of play. A couple of punts that didn't get past their own 30. That set up Adams in plus territory. This is a better position for the Rochester defense, with Adams now setting up from the 39. Not bad, but not quite as good as some of the position they had in the first half. 10:28 to go in quarter number 2. A 26-7 Rochester Adams lead. Those legs are really moving in the first half from Parker Pico, but the defense right now is amped up for the boys in blue. Rochester, and it's we'll say no gain on first down. So keep it at the 39 and brings up 2nd and 10 for Rochester Adams. Adams went 2-4 in the season, but 2 of their losses came by less than 5 points. A 1-point loss to North Farmington, and then a 3-point loss to Seaholm. Here's another big run. It's Pico again. That time he finds room and gets inside the Rochester 40. They'll mark it at the 36. Galloping his way for 25 yards. He had a 50-yard scamper in the first half, a 68-yard rather, in the first half that was just magnificent. They had a 50-yard passing touchdown as well, and another 32-yard rushing touchdown. They were really moving it in the first half. It's an offense that has a methodical approach, but they can give you that quick strike, and we saw it in half number 1. Here's another big chunk on first down. A lot of that in the first half. This is a quick first down after a gain of 10. Will they move it? They will give them a gain of 10, so move it up to the 26 with 9:12 to go in this third quarter. It's a 26-7 Rochester Adams lead. All of a sudden, the Rochester Adams offense has answered right back, picking up where they left off. Quick snap, quick handoff, a big hole. They slip one tackle and another. Into the end zone once again. It's a 26-yard run from Griffin Henke. His second touchdown run of the game at a 32-yarder in the first half. Now he rips off a 26-yard run, and Rochester Adams is up 32-7 with 8:48 to go in the third quarter. We saw them go for 2 in the first half. They missed an extra point early on. So with 8:48 to go in the third quarter, they'll attempt to make it 34-7. It's 32-7 right now in favor of Rochester Adams. Keeping it on the ground. This is what they do best, but they came up short. 32-7 remains the score in favor of Rochester Adams with 8:48 to go in the third quarter. Parker Pico was the ball carrier there. So both teams score in their opening possessions to open up here in the second half. First half recap for you is 26-0 after 2 quarters of play in favor of Rochester Adams. Rochester on the flip side, the most points they allowed all season before tonight was 20. That was a 42-20 win over Bloomfield Hills. So uncharted waters right now for the Falcons. And a bit deflating to allow a quick score after scoring to open up the half. But they'll try to answer back once more.
Ball received at the 11.
It's taken at the 11, and it looks like they'll scoot out just past the 30 up to maybe the 34. They'll put it at the 33. So now back comes Alex Bueno, the sophomore QB. Once again, I mentioned, he told me in a phone call a couple hours before the game that this game means so much to them. His exact words were, "This game means so much to us." He loves his skill players, his receivers, his running backs, gives a lot of credit to his offensive linemen. Right now, though, trying to, on a stage that he hasn't been in his career, step up and lead a comeback. It's a difficult task right now as they go to the ground on first down. They're trailing 32-7 with 8:34 to go in the third quarter of a playoff game. First playoff game for this group because they haven't made it since 2010. This is a team in search of their first playoff win overall when you look back at the overall history of this program. 6-0 this year. Finding the edge and coming up just shy of the first down was Grant Calgano. They give them enough for a first down, they will. So a generous yarn to gain there, and they will give them a first down at the 42. This time to the ground again on first down. That was Jeff Hawkins in the backfield right now for the Rochester Falcons. Mentioned they went 6-0 this year. 3-0 was their best start since 1993. First time winning 6 games since 1999. So a lot of history here. Least amount of losses since 1993 when they went 9-1. Meanwhile, Bueno looking under pressure again. That time it was Billy Hart, the senior linebacker, wreaking havoc in the backfield. It's a loss of 5. So make it 3rd and 13 now from the 39-yard line. .647 to go in the third quarter. A 32-7 Rochester Adams lead. Bueno hauls in the snap, under pressure again, and brought down from behind. That was the big man, Alex DeBreek. The flag is down in the backfield. We'll see what is made out of this. This might be unsportsmanlike on Adams, potentially on DeBreek. So after DeBreek made a big play that would have forced a punt, that moves the Falcons ahead 15. Well, let's see where we spot this. It's 3rd and 13. They're going to move it up to the 49. So 4th and 1, or 4th and 2 is where they'll mark it. A big play coming up here, though, for the Rochester offense after they were granted some extra yardage on a play that should have been resulted in a punt. Empty backfield here for Bueno. On 4th and 1, he'll look for it with his legs and get it. Slides down. He'll be marked where the slide began at the 40. Now they're moving a bit quicker. They know time is not at their advantage at the moment. A little fake and a keeper there on the part of Andrew Koss. 5:40 to go now in quarter number 3. Brings up 2nd and 9 after the gain of 1. It's a 32-7 Rochester Adams lead on the road on a Friday night. Entering tonight, Adams was perceived as the underdog, but it hasn't looked like it. As we just mentioned, the score 32-7 in favor of Adams. They flipped around the script tonight, but remains consistent with the narrative of this rivalry that has been very one-sided over the years. We'll see if that was enough for a first down. Bobby Kroner on the reception there. Good to see him back out onto the field after the knee injury on the opening drive to begin the second half. Couldn't quite get off the field on his own weight. Needed some help to get to the bench. He's one of their top targets, and he's back out there. They'll say he didn't get enough for a first down, but they're 1 yard away, so the playbook opens up here. It's a keeper for Bueno, and he picks up enough. But a flag goes flying at the end of the play. Clock stops at 4:31 left in the third quarter. It's a 32-7 Rochester Adams lead. We'll see what the call is, though, here. So a holding call on Rochester will nullify what would have been a first down. So instead of a first down, now it's 3rd and 11. They look to the sideline for the signal. The Falcons have not been good in 3rd and long situations tonight. 4:15 to go in quarter number 3. Feels like you need to score on just about every drive at this point. 4 receivers in this set. He finds one of them. It's Kroner, who's wrestled down at the 34. So a gain of 7 on 3rd and 11 will bring up 4th and 4. So once again, it feels like 4th down territory, and it is. Fighting for your life right now in the first round of the Michigan High School football playoffs getting underway tonight. Always a fun time of year. Feels like it. 36 degrees. Big moments, pressure-packed plays just like this one. Bueno's low throws. We've seen that on multiple occasions tonight. Throws that have been just a little too low, and the timing maybe not there with his receivers. Perhaps a sign of jitters on a big stage like this one. So turnover on downs there after the incomplete pass on 4th and 4. And the offense a bit flustered and frustrated as they head to the sideline. The one scoring drive for Rochester took place to open up this half. They looked like the team they've been all year that's averaged a mind-boggling 41 a game. 44 a game, I should say, which is up 21 points per game from what they averaged a year ago. This is another big first down chunk for Rochester Adams. A flag was flying, but that offensive line has opened up some gaping holes all night for Adams. The signal is that this might be a block in the back, so a personal foul on the offense, and it will back them up. That was called on Brady Preekscorn, the freshman linebacker who has a lot of potential. It's now 1st and 5. At the 39, another flag comes out, and the indication is that this time it might be on Rochester.
flag on the play. Penalty will be against Rochester.
And to go back to that note for a second, Rochester, we mentioned they average 44 points per game this year. That's up 21 from a season ago. And then defensively, they allowed a shade under 10 points per game this season, just 9.8 allowed in 2020. It sounds crazy, but they allowed 41 points per game in 2019, and that was just a season ago. So such a prolific jump this year from a defensive standpoint. But the scoreboard right now, as Rochester Adams is taken down in the backfield, is 32-7 in favor of the Highlanders of Rochester Adams. So this is the most points that Rochester has allowed all year. We knew entering tonight, a rivalry game, kind of throw out the records as you usually do on a night like this. But I don't know if we expected it to be this much controlled by Rochester Adams. I mean, the word controlled, I feel, is so applicable to the first half of action tonight. A quick snap here on a little sweep. They hand it off, looking for the edge. Don't know if they got there. Ball went to Santino Orsini, the senior who they like to utilize on both sides of the ball. Just 1:25 to go now in the third quarter. 32-7 is the Rochester Adams lead. On 3rd and 1, it looks like they may have picked up enough. Another hole opens up, this time on 1st and 10 from the 46, the clock ticking. Under a minute to go now in the third. They go back to Orsini. I love to utilize Orsini on those sweep plays coming over from his receiver position. They can put him at the running back spot as well. So Rochester Adams offense that had to replace quite a bit in the offseason from an offensive talent perspective. They lost senior QB Carter Ferris to graduation. Anthony Petrito as well, another key aspect of the offense a year ago, was lost to graduation. But it's playoff time and they look A-OK from an offensive standpoint. They're up 32-7 as we head into the fourth quarter. Rochester Adams on top, 32-7 and in command. Well, we'll take this time to remind you that tonight's Detroit Free Press Game of the Week is presented by Detroit Public Schools Community District. Every school day counts for our children's academic, social, and emotional development. Detroit Public Schools Community District is preparing students for their rise and is safely providing face-to-face learning and online learning at home or in a learning center. Enroll today. Visit DetroitK12.org or call 313-240-4377. Remember, when students rise, we all rise. So the Adams offense takes back over on 3rd and 3, trying to muscle their way for an extra set of downs. Pico is the ball carrier there. It's a group that's young at the quarterback position. However, they love to use them in the running game, as you can see, and we've noticed that all night long. Pico has ripped off several scintillating runs. He's down, though, on the field right now. Not a good sign for the Highlanders. Training staff comes out. Pico has been so dynamic in the running game all night. He's been the catalyst of this offense. He's helped to keep the defense off balance. He's kept them honest because they do have a passing touchdown in this game. He is up and walking off the field on his own weight, so that's a good sign. $11:52 to go in the fourth quarter. 32-7 is the Rochester Adams lead. Again, 22 consecutive wins for Rochester Adams over Rochester. It made me want to go and try to find out what some of the longest winning streaks in all of sports were. I thought I'd focus in on NCAA football. And dating back, you have to go back to 1964 when Notre Dame started what was a streak of 43 consecutive wins against Navy from 64 to 2006. 43 consecutive wins for Notre Dame over Navy. Obviously, Rochester fans hoping this streak doesn't touch anything in that realm. It's 22 consecutive right now. But there's just a certain confidence, evidently, for Rochester Adams in this rivalry. And now 2nd and 3 from the Rochester 37. And Adams is up 32-7. Going back to the ground. Bouncing off the blocks and looking for the sideline. Here is Santino Orsini. He'll glide his way for another first down.
Ball spotted at the 24.
A gain of 13 there for Orsini, so sets up another first down. This is where they've been so good tonight. A direct snap this time to Nick Patera. And he'll take it up for about a gain of 7 there, it looks like. Again, just the trickery they go with. You bring in Nick Patera and have him take the direct snap, and it just keeps you so off balance. So give him a gain of 6 there. 2nd and 4 now. And they dip inside of the red zone once again. Rochester Adams up 32-7 with 10:09 to go in the fourth quarter of this first round playoff game. Nick Patera kept it again there after faking the handoff. Maybe picked up 1 or 2. Give him at least 2, so perhaps 3rd and 1 here. Rochester Adams teams that again lost 24-0 in their first round playoff game, my apologies, a year ago to Eisenhower, and they have more than bounced back from that loss. They look like a team that has totally put the regular season aside when they went 2-4. Totally put last year's playoff aside. Well, you think about a team like Davison that won the state title a year ago, beating Brighton 35-25. If I'm not mistaken, they trailed in their first 3 or 4 playoff games before taking down Brighton in the final and leading all the way at Ford Field. But it shows what you can do. And I believe Davison also lost 2 of their final 3 games a year ago. Here's an open hole to the end zone. And now the Highlanders are on cruise control. Santino Orsini marches in for his first playoff touchdown. 8:49 to go in the fourth, and the lead is up to 38-7 in favor of the Highlanders. Extra points attempt is up and through, so 39-7 now is the Rochester Adams lead. Colin Timko putting the finishing touches on that drive. On the Rochester sideline now, kind of a deflated mood. They had a score to open up this second half. It was a really nice, quick drive, but Adams answered right back with a touchdown of their own. This is by far the most points the Falcons have allowed all year. Didn't allow more than 20 on the regular season when they went 6-0. Again, the 6 wins were their most since 1999. But the playoffs historically have been where they've struggled. And that narrative has continued tonight. Kind of felt like a big one for the state of the Rochester program tonight, wondering if they could get over the hump of not only their rivals, but also this playoff drought. You go back to 2010, October 29th of 2010, that was the last playoff game versus Eisenhower. It was a 24-14 first round defeat. And then before that, 1999 against Dakota. That was an agonizing 1-point loss in the first round back in '99. And tonight, down 39-7 now with 8:42 to go in the fourth. The offense is back out there for the Falcons. Alex Bueno in his first playoff start. Hopefully the first of a couple more for him. He's had some troubles tonight getting consistency going. Hands it off here. And they did well to get the defensive line to shift to one side. Hole opened up on the other, and it's enough for a first down. Gain of 12 will earn Rochester a fresh set of downs. Spot him at the 40-yard line. Rochester Adams still up 39-7. So we get an injured Highlander helped off the field. Going back to the ground this time, and the Adams defensive line was ready for it. Just a gain of 2 there. Luke Stokowski made the tackle. You really have to credit the defensive line of Adams tonight. I mean, Bueno has not been himself because he hasn't been comfortable. And he has been comfortable throughout the majority of this year, but guys like Alex DeBreek have stepped up on the defensive line for Rochester Adams and really made it a rough night for Bueno. He's back to pass this time on 2nd and 8. Looking at the sideline, under threw the ball. Intentions for Preston Stroyer. On the coverage that time was Nick Patera, who's been excellent tonight. In the Rochester Adams secondary. So now 3rd and 8 for the Falcon offense. From their own 42, trailing 39-7. Rochester Adams with a commanding lead on the road. Trying to finish it out now. Bueno hitting the backfield. Ball came loose. He was down. They're going to say it will not be a fumble, but it should be a significant amount of yardage lost here as Billy Hart breaches the backfield once again. A loss of 10 will bring out the punting unit. It's a Falcon team that punted on their first 4 drives. So it was a slow start, and now that's what the ending is beginning to mirror. Special teams is where they struggled as well tonight. That was close. Fair catch at the 41 for the Adams offense. That was Parker Pico who made the fair catch. Now gets set to come right back out on the field at the QB position. He's been marvelous. Now the Highlander offense back out and back to the ground they go. Mixing in a bit more of Nick Patera now offensively. He took the snap that time. That's been Parker Pico's duty for most of the night. Shared with Marco DeCressy. Very complete performance tonight from Rochester Adams. You have to tip your cap. 2nd and 7 now for the Highlander offense from their own 45 with 6:25 to go in the fourth quarter. Patera picks his way through traffic and gained about 3. 39-7 is the Rochester Adams lead. Not too big of a gain, but something worthy of noting there. Far too often tonight, the Falcon defenders have not been able to make that first tackle, that first hit after the contact, and it's led to not only big chunks, but touchdowns for the Rochester Adams offense due to not being able to make that first tackle. Flags go flying before the snap. 5:47 to go in the fourth quarter, a 39-7 Rochester Adams lead, and now a penalty called on the Highlanders offense. They've had a pretty clean night overall, aside from a couple of personal fouls that won't fly as you start to get deeper into the playoffs. Patera takes the snap again. Now he's looking downfield, gets hit. Patera isn't known for his throwing ability. Didn't have anyone open downfield. There's Kayvon Troy in the backfield that time. Brings up a loss of 7. Now Troy races off the field and he'll get a breather. So 4th and 17 will bring out a rare punt on the night for the Highlanders. Kind of looking back and examining this one tonight. Began with Rochester Adams setting the tone early, opened up the game with a 7-minute drive that didn't result in a touchdown, actually resulted in an interception, but they came right back and showed how resilient they have been tonight by scoring on the following drive and then on the next drive as well. So such a productive start that set the tone for tonight, and they never really looked back from that eye-opening first quarter. Kind of came out and said, we aren't the underdogs. 4:30 to go now in the fourth quarter, time dwindling. It's all cosmetic now as this appears to be an insurmountable lead. Just a gain of 3 there, 39-7 the score in favor of Rochester Adams. A tough regular season schedule in the OAA White for Rochester Adams. We mentioned that they finished 2-4, but 2 of those losses came by less than 5 points. They had a 3-point loss to Seaholm and then a 1-point loss to North Farmington as well. So, maybe theoretically they could be 4-2, right? So now you enter tonight already with an inherent mental edge over your rivals that you've dominated for so many years. It'll be 23 consecutive wins now for Rochester Adams over Rochester. This will be a first down run for the Rochester offense. Xavier Span, haven't called his name a lot tonight. Really strong back with a low center of gravity. Not the biggest guy in the world at 5'7", 165, but has a lot of power and strength in those legs. 4.46 640 time. Squats 455. 3:08 now left in the fourth quarter clock. And that's been the story tonight. White jerseys in the backfield and there quickly. Adams played their game tonight and played it well. They did it a week ago as well, and that 20-6 win over Farmington is a good note to end the season on, and carried that into today. As the clock continues to tick at 2:25 to go now in the fourth quarter. 39-7 is the Rochester Adams lead. That was Sam Pizzo, the senior, who will wrap up his high school football career. While the score may be lopsided at the moment, 39-7 in favor of Rochester Adams, we certainly would be remiss if we didn't point out the impact of the seniors on this Rochester group. As breaking free down the sideline there goes one of the seniors, Sam Pizzo. I spoke to the quarterback, Alex Bueno, before the game for Rochester. He's just a sophomore. First thing he mentioned in our phone call was the senior leadership and how important it's been for this team and in the 6-0 season. He pointed out that the seniors set the tone early. They have a coach in Eric Vernon who really preaches discipline and hard work. Again, they went 1-8 in 2019, totally flipped the script this year to 6-0, so a sign of good things to come. That run will be negated on a penalty, so it sets them all the way back to their own 43 with 1:40 to play in the fourth quarter, but certainly have to credit the seniors for this Rochester team and what they did this season. Little quick snap and another run there from Pizzo.
Gain of 2 on the play, ball spotted at the 45. 4th and 13.
So that'll be it for the Falcons offense with 48.9 to go on the fourth quarter clock. A turnover on downs, and the seniors will march out off the field for the final time on the side of the Falcons. The players who are just on offense, you see some of them coming together now, and it'll be a good season to reminisce on and build off of for these young players like Alex Bueno. But the group that's trotting out onto the field, Rochester Adams, they'll advance and continue their playoff lives under head coach Tony Petrito. The Highlanders looked very complete tonight. They're in victory formation. As the clock winds down, under 40 seconds now in the fourth quarter. It'll be 23 consecutive wins for Rochester Adams over Rochester, dating back to November of 1996. And more importantly, they're advancing in the playoffs. Adams moves on after a big win on the road. They came in here and didn't look phased one bit. 39-7 will be the final score in favor of Rochester Adams. You can visit the MHSAA website for dates and times of upcoming playoff games. It was a pleasure to bring this one to you, our Detroit Free Press Game of the Week. It was a blast having you along with us tonight. Stick with us throughout the playoffs. 39-7, once again your final in favor of Rochester Adams. The Highlanders win tonight and move on in the Michigan High School football playoffs. I'm Jason Ross Jr. saying so long from Rochester, Michigan. Have a wonderful weekend.